Okay, so another question, and tell me if I've got the question right. When we are born, we're born separated from God. Is that true? Yeah? When we're born separated from God. Is that true? Okay, so there's two parts to this. One is, um, is God someone who keeps himself away until the right stuff has been done for us or by us before he comes to where we are? Yeah?
Yeah.
Or are we people who turn away from God, even though he's around, until we recognize that he's there? So, so the issue we have is this word called sin, and it splits into three. And the three bits of what it means is from the Hebrew language. The first one, and I've touched on this in sermons before. I also learned this from someone else. Everything I teach, I've learned from someone else, so it's not straight directly from me. The first one is to do with missing the mark. You know, you aimed and you missed the mark. The second one is to do with intentionally getting something wrong, like missing someone's birthday because you just wanted to be at home. Does that make sense? And the third one is like wicked. It's now I planned to hurt someone by the things that I did. Those are the three words that I use to describe what sin is. The question I have for you is, does that apply to a baby? No, it doesn't, does it?
No.
It doesn't. And so to understand what it means to bear this thing we call original sin, we need to just look at what the relationship between human beings and God was in the garden before the fall, and what the fall of man does to human beings. And so in the garden, God comes and he walks with human beings in the cool of the day. There is absolute trust. We are one with him in our forefather, Adam and Eve. We're one with him all the time. But there's one part of that we always forget, which is the relationship between us and the world, which he has given us. When he made us, he goes, hey, go fill the planet, be fruitful and multiply, yeah. And fill it. This is your blessing. Go. You're going to have an impact on the world. The same way me in you makes you fruitful, you in the world makes the world fruitful. And so the thing that gets cut off is in the distrust between Adam and God, Adam and Eve and God. When they eat of the fruit, he said, don't eat this. What they introduce into the world is they break the waterfall. So when God's blessing comes to human beings, it's supposed to flow to everything else. But when Adam and Eve move out of God's blessings, they disrupt the flow. And so as much as God is pouring in, yeah, it's not going all the way through, and it gets harder and harder to do the right thing. So from the time the first wrong thing is done, it's harder to do the right thing, and it gets harder and harder with every next wrong thing that's done. So we are born into a world that makes it almost impossible for us to live our lives without having done the thing that would have missed the mark, that would have forgotten or decided not to go to someone's birthday. Do you see what I mean? Or chosen specifically not to make that cup of tea for someone, you know? We enter the world where it is harder for us to do the right thing. And it's when we say original sin, it's an expression that covers that reality that we will in our thoughts, our words, and our deeds do something that is counter to what God intends for us, by virtue of the fact that we are born into this world already with the way that it is. But this is also good news. The reason it's good news is this. We're still breathing. And the person who writes in the Psalms that says, you formed me and I sang it today in my mother's womb, yeah, is singing about a God who is still involved in our lives, even though we are entering a world that's broken and are going to do things that break the world. He's still there creating us. He's still making us. He's still making sure we are born. Why? He's still giving us breath to live. God doesn't stop his involvement in our lives because we are born in sin. He makes everything possible for us to experience his love, presence, invitation to eternity and forgiveness. He makes everything possible. It's like he comes and he goes, I know you're going to mess things up, so I'm going to make everything possible for us to rectify the mess that you're going to create. It's the dad who leaves you at home, with paintwork, with paints to color everywhere, but has a bucket of white paint hidden somewhere because he knows you're going to mess everything up. So he's made everything possible. He put all the things on the floor to make sure the carpet doesn't get damaged, or bought new carpet altogether. He's prepared every possible thing for you so that you can experience his love, forgiveness, invitation to eternity, regardless of what you're like. And that's what we get. So Jesus rocks up and he goes, if you believe in me, just tell me the truth. Look, you messed up. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, let's resolve this. Now join my team. Let's do this. Do you get what I mean? Stop being someone who contributes negatively to the things that are happening in the world. Join me and be someone who contributes positively to the things that are happening in this world. That's the choice that's before you. Once you believe in the Son, once you turn to the Son, once you turn to Christ, then the work of God from the time of Adam to the time you meet him is fulfilled in you. And you get to... It's not that you get to keep hitting the mark. No, you'll keep missing the mark. But you get to live in the presence of the Father who is always there going, okay, let's aim again. Let's practice. Okay, here's a fresh arrow for you to try. I trust you. You can do this. You can do this. We're going to keep trying. Some days you hit the mark. Some days you miss. But trust me, the day is going to come when all my work is done and all my work in you is done. You're going to be the best archer and you'll never miss. And you'll never miss. So it's a true thing that there is something that happens, but the bit that I'm not convinced is true is that it takes God out of the picture of our lives. Does that make sense? Yeah. We may be born in sin, which is both the brokenness of the world and also brokenness in us, but we are born, we breathe, we're nurtured, and we're invited into something. And the fact that those three things are true mean that God's grace is already at work in us. It's already at work in us, and we can trust it. And we can trust it. I hope that's okay. Good. Next week.